Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. You guys. Studio audience, thank you so much. You always make it do what it do, baby. Yes, y'all, I'm back. The visuals is back. Yes, I'm late, but I'm feeling better. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. To all my new listeners, new episodes drop every Thursday usually. I always talk about my life, my interests, and the ways I'm trying to grow. So come on back through. Now, why I said Thursday usually, because that is the technical drop date. I have been late. Last week I was sick. Life be lifing. But you know what? Y'all always get that content. And you know what else? If you're not, you should totally subscribe to my YouTube channel, because regardless of whether I'm late or not, YouTube always uploads first. You feel me? So go ahead and do that. Follow me on what is happening? Follow me on social media. The link to all that is in the episode notes, y'all. It's actually after 1 week of not doing visuals because I was sick last night. It's actually kind of awkward recording this. I don't know why. Like, I feel like, am I looking where I'm supposed to be looking? I don't know. I think I am. Anyways, guys, hi. I'm back. I'm feeling better. It was, man, I was sick for like a week, and it was just a cold. And I'm really proud of myself though, because like, normally when I'm sick, I will try to push myself. Like, I did not work at all. Like, I didn't try to meet with my clients virtually. I didn't try to have phone calls. I didn't do anything, like any of the tasks that I have for the creative team. I didn't do that. Like, I just rested. Now, I didn't sleep all day. I did make it a point to like stay up during the day, because then I would sleep at night. Because typically what happens when I get sick is I'll sleep all day and then be up all night. And I wasn't trying to have my days and nights mixed up. So I would just like sit around and made sure I ate too, because a lot of times when I'm sick, I won't really feel like going to make sure that I still eat. But I did do that, you know what I'm saying? Which all of that probably helped me to like start feeling better. But I still I haven't been back to the gym yet, because even though like I'm feeling better, I still have a little bit of a stuffy nose, runny nose, whatever, slight cough here and there, but not like consistently or whatever. But normally I know that I push myself too quickly and I'm just trying to get better. So I haven't even been back to the gym, which I miss it, but it is what it is, because I've really been intentional about easing into adding stuff back, because after being sick and then not doing anything for basically a week, you know, you don't want to just do too much too soon. And that's normally what I do, is I'll just feel better and start doing everything. And so I'm proud of myself in that regard. One thing that I did do though over the weekend, so it was Labor Day weekend, and what is super dope is that our church didn't have any in-person encounters, so they only had online. So I didn't have to worry about that, because I serve on the creative team. So I'm typically on a broadcast cam, or this weekend is when I'm popping out doing photography. So either way, I'm doing something, right? I do sit. We have 3 different encounters, so I do make sure I sit one, but I didn't have to worry about any of that. So I was grateful for that. But y'all, and I made the cover photo that's Gizmo. Now, if y'all have seen him before, you know that man had a lot of hair. I didn't realize how much of him was actually all hair until I decided, as in me, I'm the one who gave him his first haircut. You know what I'm saying? But it's so crazy because like I was going to take him to the groomers whenever, and I feel like we talked about that on here, but just to catch everyone up, I got Gizmo when he was like 8 months old, or yeah, he had just turned 8 months old. And then I don't know, I want to say like June or May or something, I decided to try to take him to a groomer and like trim his hair and all that, because I noticed it was like matted in some spots and this, that, and the other. And so, and it was like he was already like that when I got him, and I would like try to brush it and it just wasn't whatever. So I was like, all right, let me try to take him to a groomer. The groomer was like, he was matted really more than I even realized, and that we were going to have to cut all his hair off. Then that's also when I realized he didn't have any of his shots. Y'all, I didn't know none of this stuff. I ain't never had a dog before. So blah, blah, blah journey. He got his shots. Then he got neutered. Like all these things have happened, right? But I never like was in a rush to take him back to the groomer because I honestly did not want all his hair cut off. And if I'm honest, I just wasn't sure. Like I would have kept him, don't get me wrong, but like I liked his hair. Now it did get to a point where it was like too long, you know what I mean? But I liked his hair longer, and I didn't know how I would feel with him knowing he was going to have all of his hair cut off and then start all over. And so I waited. I don't know, maybe because I had a lot of time on my hand, because I was kind of feeling better when I decided to do this, but I was just like, I'm going to just cut all his hair off. It took me 5 hours, y'all. Would I do it again? No. He will go to a groomer. And there are things that I should have done differently. Like one, I should have worn an apron of sorts or something, threw that shirt away because I kept trying to like pull off the dog hair that was just piled and matted on there with a lint roller. I'm glad it was just some random blue shirt, so it wasn't anything serious. Threw it away because I was just like, we just gonna start all over. I'll just get another one, right? And so that's one thing I would have did differently is I would have worn an apron. I also would have worn regular shoes. I had on slides when I was wearing these Nike slides. I wouldn't have wore that, you know what I mean? Also, I probably would have, like now I kind of know how it would have been easier actually to cut it. Now I did watch a grooming video, but in my mind, like I used to cut the girl's dad's hair all the time and like did really well at cutting his hair. So like in my mind, I've done a toddler's hair before because I promise y'all Gizmo is like the equivalent of a toddler. The only difference is he understands some things that I say. I don't know what he be saying at all. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm like, well, I've cut hair before and I've done a toddler's hair before. So we're just going to combine these things and I got this. And I made it happen. Don't get me wrong, but ooh, child, it was something, right? So I did that. But other than that, it's just being sick is always very interesting when I'm isolated because I never realized how much I really don't like being isolated. Like I like time to myself, don't get me wrong, but I like people. So like not working, not even being around like my church family, which a lot of times those are the only adults that I consistently interact with because the subcontracting work that I do, I work with teenagers. So like, and their parents don't have to be a part of the meeting. So, you know, and so like, it was just really, really wild, all of that alone time that I had. But it was actually a very, like, me and the Lord had so many different conversations, because that's all I had was time. You know what I'm saying? We had so many different conversations about so many different things. And it's interesting because I'm not going to get into a ton of how, but like, I actually got triggered by an interaction that I had with someone, and it made me so mad. But what they did wasn't anything that should have like brought about the reaction that I had and like the anger that I had. And I just remember I didn't respond negatively or anything like that at all. But I just remember kind of like, okay, but why are you mad? And okay, but why do you have this reaction to what they said? They mean well, they weren't disrespectful, they're trying to be helpful, this, that, and the other. And man, I see it often on social media, and it's so true. Like, we're gonna be triggered by stuff. Like, I'll see memes that say this summarized, you know, and it sounds more eloquent or whatever. But like, we're going to get triggered by stuff, but it is our responsibility what we do with these triggers. Like, people do not have to tiptoe around and not say things or not this, that, and the other. And so many people get easily offended. And I've been there. I've just for sure for like the past, I don't know, however long I've had this show. So almost 4 years, been even more intentional about my healing and my growth or whatever, because a lot of times when I'm on this show talking, sometimes I'm talking things out, or it happens and then I get even more revelation, like when I talk about stuff or whatever. So for the past almost 4 years, I've been super intentional about healing, being mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, even now physically healthy is like a super focus, because even though, of course, I haven't worked out for almost 2 weeks, like I still was pretty intentional about kind of eating the same types of foods and stuff like that while I was sick, just because that's what makes me feel better when I eat better. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, so many of us sometimes walk around and we get super offended by things that people literally do not mean it that way. And it's like sometimes we've gone through trauma at such a young age. And so I'm not trying to minimize anything that anybody's been through. I'm the last person to do that. But I'm just saying, sometimes we go through trauma and we go through stuff at such a young age, or we have the same types of things happen to us over and over again, right? And so then it like kind of starts to shape who we are and even like harden our hearts and all that stuff. And so then as a result of that, the way that we experience life and the way that we experience different interactions with people will be through the lens of our wounds. And this is why I talk so much about the importance of being emotionally healthy, as well as mentally and spiritually too. But this is why I talk so much about being healthy ourselves, because a lot of times interactions that we have are not always based on what the other person did. Sometimes it's our perception of what the other person did or said. And the reason we have that perception is because of what we've been through, and we haven't addressed those wounds. And we have this mindset of just, oh, that's just the way that I am. That may be how you are, but that doesn't mean that's how you have to stay. And I'm definitely a testament of that, because like who I am now, I love people that have known me forever. Like, I love the fact that I've been at the church that I'm at for 10 years, because they've really got to see my growth. They've really got to see even like how much, how do I want to say this? Like how much I've opened up and like been more how much more I've opened up and been more maybe intentional. I've never not been a friendly person, but I feel like I'm just more intentional, and I feel like I am more comfortable and like more quickly willing to like build new relationships with people that maybe I haven't known, as long as I've known other people. And I say do it quicker because there are people that I feel like I've built relationships with kind of quickly that there are people that I've known forever and it took them way longer to get to where we're at. But that's just because I had so many walls up because of so many different types of relational wounds, and not just like, dudes I talk to or whatever. I'm talking about parent wounds, different friendships, even like professional wounds, because even though I don't work for the church, I like serve on the creative team. Anything that I do, and y'all know this with podcasting, I may have been late lately, but y'all gonna get an episode. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be the same quality episode every time. It's gonna be the same like cover art, effort, the same promotional effort, all that stuff. So everything I do, there's always a professional aspect to it. I've always treated this like a job. You know what I'm saying? Show is not monetized, not trying to monetize it because it's a therapeutic creative outlet that I want to have my hands in it, and I want to treat it as a creative outlet. I don't want to treat it like it's actually my job, right? But everything that I do, I treat it like work to a degree. And so it's like even different professional wounds I've had to like just process through that, because one thing I've been very intentional about is believing the best about people, not in a naive way. So if people start showing you who they are and showing you that they don't have the best intentions, like believe that and move around or do whatever you got to do to act accordingly. And I'm not saying start treating people all messed up. My thing is you may just have to separate yourself from whoever if you try to have a conversation and try to get things together and they're not willing to change their behavior, right? So you move accordingly. But at the end of the day, I believe the best about people. So then if I'm believing the best about someone, if I have an interaction that rubs me the wrong way, and this is definitely a slower process, but the first thing I typically do is try to decide, am I really upset about what they did? Like, is what they did that negative, that whatever, that it actually warrants my response, my anger, my frustration, my sadness, or whatever? Or is it because it reminds me of something else that happened that literally has nothing to do with this situation right now, but this situation triggered those same emotions to that unresolved wound, right? And so that's what I've really been on more intentionally. Like, I won't even say that there was ever a point where I wasn't intentional, but I just feel like the thing about when you have closer relationships with people and you let more people in is that it's always the people that are closest to you that can be the ones that cause the most harm, not in an intentional way, but just because those are the people that are closest to you. So those are the people that you actually care about their thoughts, their feelings, their wherever. Whereas strangers on the internet, will not see me go like sometimes on TikTok and YouTube, I will get comments that I'll see them, I'll read them because I read every comment because I don't be having like millions of comments to where I don't have time. But sometimes depending on what it is, you got to say something reckless for me to actually delete it. Because if it's not anything reckless, but it's just your opinion, okay, but you don't even know me, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even care. So people on the internet, I don't care about none of that. People in real life that I don't know, I don't care about any of that. But then it's like the closer you get, that's where it can be the most harm caused or pain or wounds or whatever. And so with that, I've had to more quickly, I'd say, like process the issues of my heart. And so it's been really interesting because it has been such a, like, I am probably the most healthiest version of myself ever, probably even physically too, just because It's not even just about the snatched 40s journey, even though, you know what I'm saying, we out here, but it's just, I'm more intentional about my physical health than I had, and having more longevity with it, because now we're coming up on, let's see, I started being serious again mid-May, and now we're coming up on mid-September. So that's 4 months, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I've been sick. So being sick and stuff like that is going to make it to where I'm not going to work out. And I'm not going to say I've perfectly done it, but it's just overall, this has been a 4-month journey. You know what I'm saying? And so overall with my, you know, emotional health and all of that, this has been, I could say for sure 4 years, because I was already more intentionally on that before I started the show. It's just y'all have got to, for almost 4 years, hear my journey, right? And so that's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today. Let me summarize to make sure y'all get the main point of all of this, because I've kind of been all over the place just because that's just what I do. Y'all grab my train of thought, right? But I want to make sure that y'all get this point. You are going to be triggered, right? We all, sadly, on this earth, go through pain, go through heartache of various degrees, depending on whatever, right? That's just a part of life, unfortunately, living with other people, because no one's perfect, right? And so we go through different things, right? We have different wounds. And so we're going to be triggered by things, and that's normal, and it sucks, but it's normal. But the whole point is that you are responsible for what you do with that. And so, as always, I encourage you to process the issues of your heart so that you can be emotionally healthy and even mentally healthy, right? Process the issues of your heart. Deal with your wounds. If you need to go to therapy, do that. If there's some other form of like processing the issues of your heart that you need to do that. Fresh start is something that, and I've done it multiple times, because life be life, and the thing too is, it's not really, unfortunately, a one and done type thing, processing certain things, because we as people are complex people. So there were a lot of times layers and levels to our healing. You know what I'm saying? Thank God, because so we're at this point where I've been walking with the Lord for 16 years. And where I am now versus where I was, 16 years ago, of course I've grown. Like, if I hadn't grown, that would actually be really sad. And so the thing about it is, there are issues, we'll say my bio dad, where things will pop up. And so I've processed different things with him over and over and over and over again, but there's layers and levels to it. And it's like, the further I get in this journey, it's kind of like the more we're getting to the core issues. So it's like, okay, think of like a tree, right? So a tree has the roots, it has the trunk, it has the branches, and it has the leaves. So the first thing, if you're going to let's say you were going in order of whatever, almost like a haircut, you're going to get rid of the leaves first, right? Then you're going to get to the branches, and then you're going to get to the trunk, and then you're going to get to the roots. Now, if I was to just chop the tree down and or go straight to the core issues that are kind of what I've been more so dealing with lately, that could be traumatic. You know what I'm saying? That could be maybe too much for someone to handle, depending on what type of life you've lived and the type of pain that you've had to endure, right? And so for me specifically, because I've just had so many different types of wounds that started from a very young age, it's in God's kindness that little by little, he's been like, all right, I think you're ready to deal with this, and something will happen in life. And whereas before I used to not try to tap into that pain and not try to deal with it and try to do whatever I could to escape it or numb it or whatever, I'm not on that no more. And so now I'm at this point where it's like, when I feel something, I'll sit with it. It is okay to sit with your pain. Now, try not to stay there and dwell on it, but it is okay to sit there, because pain is almost like an alarm. So triggers are alarms to let you know that something is wrong or there's some unresolved issue that needs to be addressed, right? So deal with your triggers. Don't just shut the other person out, or it's all on the other person, and make it about it's all on the other person. And it may be that that other person is mistreating you. And then, like I said earlier, you act accordingly. But before you just go there, because sometimes it's not that way, you really need to sit with your feelings, and you really need to figure out, why do you feel this way? You know what I'm saying? Like, just slow down. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of times we're busy and this, that, and the other. So like I said, when I was sick, I had all the time in the world to have like some super therapy or whatever type setting. But this is stuff that I actively do even when I'm not sick, and even when I have a busy day, may it be at the end of the day, or if I have time, like if I'm driving somewhere and something's just really bothering me or whatever, then I'll take that time to process it. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out thing, but the whole point is, one, you can't deny that you feel this way. Like, stop acting like, oh, I don't care. Yes, you do. You know, I'm unbothered. If you got to say you're unbothered, I don't know. I just feel like when people try to make it such a point to be like, I'm unbothered, why are you saying it? Like, I just feel like if you're really not bothered by something, you're not going to give it any of your time or energy or effort or anything. But that's just me. That's just how I look at it. So stop acting like we're unbothered, right? Stop acting like we don't care. And I'm saying we because I sometimes do this if I'm not like intentional. It's easy to fall back in old habits and patterns if I'm not intentionally and diligently trying to be healthy, right? Stop acting like we don't care. Don't act like it's okay to feel the feelings that we feel when we have that. So like, be like, accept and embrace, I would even say, the feelings that you have, but explore the why behind it, so that you can do what you need to do to like be healed and be free. Because as I always say, make sure you are taking care of yourself mentally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself emotionally. Men too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love the conversations that I'm seeing like online, and even just having different conversations where men do not have to be these void of emotion creatures. I don't know how anyone ever thought that was like normal, because as a human being, that just, to me, just does not make sense. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm not a man, so I know men and women are wired differently, but like, if you have pain, deal with it. You don't have to just stuff it. You don't have to just pretend like it's not there and be strong and all these things. Like, make sure you are taking care of yourself emotionally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself spiritually, whatever that looks like for you. Regardless, we all have a spirit, and I always say this, and it needs to be healthy, because if our spirit is not healthy, if there's one part of us, this is why I always say these separately. If there's one part of us that is not healthy, it's going to affect the other parts of us. So make sure that you are spiritually healthy, make sure that you are physically healthy, and make sure that you're being healthy in your relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be toxic. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so quick to cut people off either, when maybe you just need to have a conversation to reconcile a situation. Like, be healthy in your relationship. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for